Hey, welcome back. This is Defender Chassis. My name's Scott, and you're watching episode 13 of Have You Seen My Tool? This week's tool is a copper spoon. Now, what this is for, if you're not already aware, this is for backing up holes that you want to weld up. This is available at Harbor Freight. There really isn't a made in USA alternative to something like this. I wish there was, but you know, this is bottom dollar kind of stuff. I think it's less than $10 if you use a coupon and all that. So rather than just say, hey, go buy this, what I thought we'd do with this video is we'd look at other alternatives to using this. And you know, all you're really doing, you're using this for two things. One is that what you're welding won't stick to it, hence the copper. And two, it's a bit of a heat sink. So I come up with two ideas with just some stuff I had in the shop. The first one is just an aluminum block. Now, this is a piece of aluminum bar stock that I had left over from a project. And we're going to do a test. We're going to use it in the same manner as we would the copper spoon. And then the third is I attempted to make my own copper spoon. I didn't have any large chunks of copper, so this may fail in the realm of being a heat sink. But what I did was I took a 3/4 inch copper coupling just for plumbing, you know, solder type fitting, and I slid it and I flattened it, and then I put it in the brake because my thought on this is that this profile, this 90-degree profile, at some point may come in handy. So I put the bend on it, and then I just used a little silicon bronze, and I TIG brazed the little piece of chromoly to it as a handle. So what we're going to do, I've got this cabinet here laying on its back. It's a Lista toolbox, and we've got 4 holes that were put in here for some pop rivets for a bracket or something of that nature. And we're going to test these 3 tools, and as a control, we're going to do a 4th hole with no tool. And you know, one reason we're doing this is there's a bracket back here and I can't get to it anyway. The first hole, and I'll insert some pictures here somewhere of these holes. They've all been prepped equally. I had a step bit and they're all 1/4 inch in diameter, and then I went ahead and went to the next step and put just a slight chamfer on it. And the first hole we're going to look at is we're going to use the Harbor Freight copper spoon, and then this one we'll use the aluminum block. The third one we'll use my homemade, we'll call it a copper spoon, I guess. And then the 4th hole will be nothing. Now, what I anticipate is that we're probably going to see the same kind of thing on these first 3 holes. The 4th hole, because I've actually already done one of these cabinets, and the 4th hole, what we're probably going to see is that we're not going to be able to weld that up in one shot. We're going to have to pulse it. We're going to have to, hit it and then back off, let it cool down, and then hit it maybe 2 or 3 times to get that hole filled up. And we'll probably end up with a little more buildup. These will probably be almost flush and will require a minimum amount of grinding. This one here will definitely have a little more buildup, and will have to be ground off, and we may even see some warpage, or a little more warpage in this area than we would do on the other 3. Let's not make this thing any longer than it has to be. Just for note, we're using a Hobart Handler 135 110 volt MIG welder, C25 gas, 030 70 S6 wire. Anyway, let's get after it. I'm going to take you. I probably won't give you a camera shot of the arc. Been warned that sometimes that'll damage these GoPro cameras that I use. So I'll get you situated somewhere here where you can see some action. We'll fast forward through it. Then I'll get you some still shots at the end, and we'll talk about what we got. So let's go do it. now that we've went through this little exercise, it's evident to me that you probably ought to have one of these. You know, for 10 bucks, you know, you can't spend the time to make something, and you probably noticed in the video I had a little difficulty with mine. It was more a reflection of what I was trying to reach. And what I had to do was actually fixture this thing up on the inside. Grabbed a little piece of railroad rail, had some weight to it, and just leaned it up against this on the inside. Tried to use a clamp at first, but that didn't work out so well. So, you know, if you have to have something, let's say, you know, like to reach this, even, you know, I wouldn't have been able to do it with this either. If you need something with a longer handle, you know, you could make something like that. But for 10 bucks, you probably ought to have one of these. I would say after making this one out of the thin copper plumbing fitting, that I would probably recommend that you actually get a thick piece of copper and have a proper heat sink. The aluminum works well too. You know, you could do something like this. You could drill and tap a bar. You know, I guess a guy really, if he wanted to, could take a hunk of aluminum and drill and tap holes at different angles and make him a little handle out of bar stock, and that way he could, have a 18, 24-inch handle that he could screw in however he wanted, and he could hold it from, you know, a little distance away. But of course, that all depends on your situation. So, anyway, they all ended up working about the same. I think you saw that the hole with no backer behind it did take a few more pulses with the MIG, and there was a little difficulty. I did get a little burn back in a couple places, and so I did a little more work than what I did on the other holes. I anticipated being able to weld those up in one shot, and I think you probably saw that I was not able to do that because of how thin the metal was. Another reason was I did open those holes up to 1/4 of an inch. They were 1/8 of an inch to start with, so I think on the other cabinet that I did, I was able to do them in one hit because they were smaller. But I wanted to make sure these were all an equal comparison. So anyway, get you one of these things, and you know, if you need to make one, make one. Aluminum, copper, either way will work. So hey, listen, like, comment, subscribe, you know the drill, and I'll see you next week on episode 14 of Have You Seen My Tool? Thanks for watching.